Eula books the suite in Clarksville, 2 towns over. I bring the food. This year it's sushi for me, and cold cuts and potato salad for her. Nothing heavy, just enough to sustain us. And I bring the champagne. This year, which like every year could be our last, I bring 3 bottles of Andre Spumante. And I got us some noisemakers and year 2000 glasses to wear. The lenses are the 2 zeros in the middle. For all we know, the Y2K bug will have us sitting in the dark 1 second after Dick Clark counts down in Times Square. But that's all right with me, because that Andre sips just as well in the dark. After we settle in, Eula digs into the potato salad and cold cuts. She's real particular about what she eats. About most things, really. She likes things just so. She's a school teacher, like me, so we have to mind the details, though Eula minds them more closely than I do. But she can't tell. I bought the potato salad from Publix, added some chopped boiled egg, mustard, pickle relish, and paprika, and put it in my red Tupperware bowl. She eats seconds, pats her belly, and tells me I outdid myself. After we're finished eating and polishing off a bottle of the Andre, I start the shower. We like it boiling hot. The heat relaxes me, but I feel like it does something else for Eula. She stays in there long after I get out. Through the steamy shower door, I see her pink shower cap. Her head is bowed, and I wonder if she's asking God's forgiveness for stepping outside of His favor as she continues to wait on His provision. By the time Eula and I turned 30, 10 years ago, we had been best friends for half our lives. We met in 10th grade, the only black girls in our honors English class. Eula had been new that year. Her family moved down from North Carolina. She needed a friend, and I did too. We were daydreamers, planning our double Hawaiian wedding in the margins of our math notebooks. Our husbands would be railroad men like our fathers. We'd teach at the high school, join the ladies' auxiliary at church, and be next-door neighbors. Our kids would play together. But our 30th birthdays found us teaching at the high school and serving in the ladies' auxiliary, with no other parts of our daydreams realized. We celebrated Eula's birthday in her apartment with too many wine coolers. She ended up in my lap, her skirt bunched up around her waist. I saw the white cotton panties between her thick brown thighs. She smelled like vanilla. "Do you ever feel like you could just bust?" she asked me, her breath fruity and hot in my face. I didn't answer, afraid that my honesty would send Eula running. But it didn't matter because she kept talking, begging me to touch her because no one had ever touched her down there. She had been a good girl, she told me, but I already knew that. As a teen, Eula hadn't sneaked behind her parents' backs as I had, curious, then disappointed by what 2 rough boys had to offer. And as a grown woman, she had not endured short-lived flings with men whose names weren't worth remembering, as I had. Eula had committed to praying and waiting for her Boaz, like Ruth in the Bible. Eula is a true believer. She doesn't walk around with questions lingering in her throat like I do. But that night, she slid my fingers inside those white cotton panties and forgot all about Boaz. We stayed up until we were slick with sweat. Later that morning, Eula tamped down regret with silence and coffee. A month or so later, it was New Year's Eve, and Eula called to say that she'd booked a suite over in Clarksville. I brought white pizza and 3 bottles of Asti Spumante.